Hello, and welcome to this special conversation about the exciting initiatives happening with Sigma Pi. My name is Jonathan Frost, and I have the honor of serving as the CEO of our great fraternity.
And I'm Christian Miele, Grand Sage of Sigma Pi. Jonathan and I are thrilled to be here today to discuss some of the impactful programs and recent developments that are shaping the future of our great fraternity.
Christian, what I like to do, I want to jump in, especially for our audience out here. It's been a while since I've seen you. Welcome back. Congratulations to you, first
Thank you.
off,
Thank
on
you.
being elected Grand Sage. Maybe take a few minutes, because not everybody knows you around the country. Who are you? Tell me a little about yourself.
So joined Sigma Pi 24 years ago at Towson University in Maryland. Became Sage in my chapter and got the Sigma Pi bug right away. Hooked for life. Have been giving back as a volunteer, serving on the Grand Council the last 2+ years, sort of the natural evolution after serving as a local advisor, Province Archon, number of committees and stuff over the years. And I'm really enjoying setting sort of the strategic vision for our organization moving forward, building on some of the work that we've done over the last several years to move Sigma Pi forward. And it's been really an exciting challenge, but it's also a lot of fun. I think we also do this because being in this fraternity is a lot of fun. You just think about our weddings and how many brothers from different states were there, as we've been involved with the national organization for a long time. And so, it's been really exciting, moving our strategic plan forward. And I'm really excited about what this council is going to do over the next biennium.
Well, and let me ask you with that too, is you've been involved a long time, very successful legal career, politician as well. What are, as you look at that and you decided to now say, I want to give part of my time not to just be on the board, but to be the Grand Sage.
Right.
So can you share a little bit with our members and our friends and their parents? What are some of the kind of initiatives that you're working on? I know you just announced some committees and task force. Can you share that with everybody?
Yeah, and so great question. So I think, timing is everything. So I would say to our alum out there who are watching, there's an ebb and flow to volunteerism. You kind of hopefully will do it as time permits. When work and your family obligations allow for you to give back, we hope you give back. And so for me, it was to your point, I took some time off to when I got married and we started having children. My wife Jessica and I have now 3 kids, all under the age of 7. So we got our hands full. But despite that, we were in a good place to sort of have my career going, like you said. And Sigma Pi definitely helped give me the confidence to pursue public service, for example, or to go to law school. And alumni who were attorneys wrote my letters of recommendation. So again, I owe everything in terms of professional experience and success to this fraternity. That's why I continue to give back. But I think the timing was right. So it was I liked where the organization was heading. We were focusing on all the right things, focusing on changing the culture. So our alumni are getting engaged and giving back of their time, of their money and resources. And so I wanted to be a part of that because I saw alignment between what I thought we could be as an organization and where we were actually heading. And so one of the experiences I had, I worked on staff right after graduating from Towson, but I was a Greek advisor for 4 years. So I had the opportunity to see what a lot of our peers in the industry were doing. Yeah. And so I wanted to sort of apply some of my experiences and working with those various national organizations and say, how could we apply some of what's working elsewhere, best practices, to our organization to strengthen Sigma Pi and to put it on a path to future success and prosperity. So along those lines, we've established, we have, constitutional committees, some of which have operational functions. So we have our Constitutional Bylaws Committee. They're basically designed to be, that committee's charge is to make sure that our governing documents are clear and concise, and that we're approaching governance in the best way we can. But it's an operational function. Then we have some other policy-oriented committees and one task force that we've stood up to really focus on the strategic initiatives of the organization. And I'm really excited to share a number of those. So first and foremost, we created a Member Education and Experience Committee, which is going to be chaired by past Grand Sage Joe Palazzola, who is a PhD college professor. Yeah, a lifelong friend to you and me. We were actually sages at the same time, he being from Monmouth, me from Towson. We've come up through the fraternity together. And probably nobody better to sort of take a look at our member experience, our member education programs from a pedagogical perspective, from a how do we make this interesting to our undergraduate members, everything being so digitized today. We want to make sure we're still getting through. It's probably not the way it was when we pledged, when we had the I Believe manual and there was no content online. Things are different. So how can we make sure that we're still communicating what's important to our members to give them that great experience. So he's going to be focused on all things education and experience on the fraternity side, which we're super excited about that. And they're going to be doing a number of surveys to our undergraduate members, but also looking out sort of what's going on with the industry. We have our ritual committee, which is a constitutional committee, but they're going to be looking at the values-based piece of our organization. How do we provide a values-based education to our membership, both at the undergraduate level and the alumni level? So they're going to be doing a number of surveys to actually assess and evaluate how our chapters are or are not actually being proficient in their usage of the ritual, in their understanding of it, and the application of it. And so how can we then tailor programs, continuing member programs, around the value statement of our creed and our ritual? So, once you have the Bayard program, what's next? And maybe it's going to be a ritual-based program like the Master of Ritual or something like that to continue to focus on those values. And then we have this Growth Opportunities Task Force, which you and I are very excited about. I know we've talked a lot about it. And that's looking externally at what our partners are doing in the industry and saying, what does engagement look like for Sigma Pi now and into the future? And so what does the alumni experience look like? But really focusing on, okay, so it starts, when you start your new member journey, and it's got to keep going, but what's the value and how do we build organizational affinity? That's really my vision, is organizational affinity being the key. And that's the glue to keep people coming back and giving back to the fraternity over the long run. So that was a long-winded answer.
No.
As a politician, sometimes we have a hard time shutting up, but.
Well, and kind of along that lines a little bit, and I love that you've come in and you've said, hey, let's find out what our alumni and our students are looking for. So alumni and students know that here over the next 3 to 6 months, you're going to see some surveys coming out to you and take time. And with that, you kind of talked about some expansion things. We've got some exciting expansion happening, right? We're currently still working with Ohio State, Kennesaw State, Sacramento State. We're heading to Missouri this fall. Potentially your alma mater, potentially in the spring. We're talking with the university on it a little bit, but we're still working on it. Why do you believe, as Grand Sage, that we should be expanding? And and more importantly, expanding to where we've already been. Yeah. Why is that something that's important?
That's a great question, and I love the fact that we are focusing our efforts intently on going back to our dormant chapters. This is part of our larger Sigma Pi family. A lot of the alumni of those closed chapters, they're starving for the opportunity to kind of get re-engaged and to give back. And it's our family. It's part of Sigma Pi. Our over 230 chapters that we've had over our 100, almost 28 years now. And so we want to really be focusing on making sure that our brothers and our alumni have that experience and have that chapter to rally around. And that may be the key to getting them re-engaged with the organization. Maybe it's been 30, 40 years since they've been to a Sigma Pi function. This may be the catalyst to get them back involved. But expansion, I think, fundamentally, I did expansion, as you know, when John and I, we worked, you and I worked on staff together, and I did expansion. And because we know the impact of Sigma Pi, how it can transform your life and have a positive impact and a profound impact on your life, it only makes sense that we want to provide other people in other parts of the country and other college campuses with the same opportunities that we had. And so if we believe in our values, if we believe in the impact of this organization, it would be selfish of us not to want to expand to other campuses to provide those same opportunities to other men throughout the country and North America.
Well, and it's interesting, too, when you look at expansion, I think an exciting one is Slippery Rock, right?
Absolutely.
Slippery Rock closed in 1995, and they're coming back in 2025. So like you said, to re-engage alumni on these. And using that word engage to kind of talk a little bit, Sigma Pi for about the last 18 months has been taking programming out to our students and to our volunteers. What are some thoughts that you think makes the Engage program so valuable that we're starting to see the success of?
Absolutely. Well, I love the idea that we're coming to you, right? So we have convocation once a biennium, and that's at a central location. We all descend upon a city, have a great experience there, and do the business of the fraternity. But then in the interim period between convocations, we now will have one Engage program per biennium in each of the provinces throughout the fraternity. So there are going to be 10 over this biennium. And so right now we're shooting this video from Philadelphia, but we'll be out in Los Angeles in February, and we'll be moving this event around the country. And so it's making it more accessible, I think, for a lot of undergraduates who, let's face it, I mean, a lot of them we were joking about eating ramen noodles and living off the dollar menu, they might not have always the financial means to fly out to a centralized location. But if we can go into their neck of the woods and into their community and provide these educational programs that talk about men's mental health and safety and career readiness and how to operate your chapter at the highest possible level, I think we're going to be providing more value and strengthen our chapters in each locale throughout the country.
And I'll tell you, one of the other exciting parts that I like with Engage that's different from the other ones is we survey the student. That's kind of a cool little unique aspect of Engage is, yes, we have the things we want to teach, right?
Right.
But then we get their input,
Right.
which is really exciting for them, right, as young men leaders to tell us as leaders, this is really what I want to see.
And it helps us refine our programming. So, we talk at length, and part of our strategic planning is around the messaging, around the topics and the subject matter that we want to communicate to our membership, but also hearing back from them, was it impactful? How can we improve upon it? It's us constantly trying to be better to make that progress that we talk about in our motto.
Well, and it's exciting too because like you said, we're here in Philadelphia this weekend, and a lot of people won't discuss what's happening, which is 18 to 22-year-old men on a Saturday morning,
right,
getting together to come learn.
Won't be in the headlines.
No,
they're here. Yeah,
it won't be in the headline, but they'll be here and they'll learn. We've got one group that previously flew out to Los Angeles, and now they're here and they get a chance to kind of see it a little bit. So with Engage, so I'm an average alum and I'm out there and I'm like, how do I help? What do I do? I know that here soon, our development team has put together a whole new giving campaign called Impact.
Right.
And Impact is really going to benefit us right from the standpoint of the unrestricted general fund dollars. We've got a very good board with Sigma Pi University. And with Impact, with those funds, they'll be able to divvy them up to help with Engage. But also, can you share a little bit, because I know that we've got some sponsors that are helping support, why is it important? I know I talk about it a lot,
right?
But why is it important for our alumni to not only give their time, but to give some treasure to help these students?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about the fraternity budget and where our revenue is generated, it's our undergraduate members paying of their dues. And but when you look at our total membership, we have roughly 125,000 lifetime members, about maybe 90,000 living members today. Probably over 95% of our total membership is our alumni.
Yeah.
But the lion's share of our revenue is coming from our undergraduates, which we just talked about before. They're the ones that probably have the least disposable income. So I think it's incumbent upon us as men of this fraternity who have had an incredible experience to make sure that we're paying it forward for these men, and they'll do that the same thing for future generations. And so there are lots of benefits to giving, as we know. There's a tax-deductible benefit if you're into philanthropic giving, and there's that benefit. Knowing that your money is going to directly impact these young men and to help change their lives and to help them forge relationships with their brothers from different parts of the country, for example, I think it's invaluable what your donation can do to support these men. And time too. I mean, we have hundreds of volunteers, but we could use a couple hundred more to form advisory boards and to do what you can. I mean, you don't have to be at every chapter meeting to help out a chapter with their finances or with recruitment and things of that nature. So we want your time, we want your money, but we want you to just come back to your fraternity because there's a seat at the table for you to get re-engaged with Sigma Pi.
It's kind of like we tell everybody, just show up, right? Just be present. Love the dollars because it does help support our students. And you're right. We worked together a long time ago, and I know in my chapter, alumni weren't really there to support us.
Right.
And now we're starting to see, and I'm very appreciative of our alumni. Parents make up 25% of our giving, so that's very exciting that the moms and dads see it. But at the same time, we do need time, right? We need the mentors, the advisors,
right,
the guys 40, 50, 60 years old to come back to that 18-year-old,
right,
sometimes just to say, hey, don't do that, right?
And we're going to be focused so intently on that, going back to your earlier question about, let's talk about the Growth Opportunities Task Force. It's like, what does the alumni member experience look like? I've told this story a lot this weekend about how I'll be at the gym wearing letters, and a guy will come up to me and say, oh, I was in Sigma Pi. And you notice the word was.
Right.
I said, no, you are in Sigma Pi. And that's the thing. We have to change that mindset. We sort of a paradigm shift in the organization. So that's part of what we're really focused on, vision-wise, strategically, is to how to start the member experience off in such a way that they're just craving Sigma Pi for the rest of their life, wanting to give back to the organization, wanting to stay involved with it, and to not just have it be something that you did, but something that you're going to continue to do for the rest of your life. And so that's where we're going to be focusing so much of our energy. And we'll let the data, hopefully point us in the right direction on some changes we can make potentially.
Yeah.
We've got alumni clubs, we've got 30 of them. What's that role look like for the alumni clubs? How can they help give back and support? What can they do to move Sigma Pi forward too? Okay. And so we're super excited about that. But yeah, to your point, there's just we can really use the help from everybody out there watching this.
Well, and that's and it's interesting too, because what we do know, right? And I'm looking forward to this data as well. We do know, anecdotally, right? I guess would be the word I want. That groups that have at least 1 to 3 advisors usually do better.
Yep.
Now, it's also interesting when you look at society today, right? And we're looking at growing and putting our values out there. There are times where, hey, it's fraternity, it's a negative light. However, there's also a lot of young men looking for more.
Yep.
You've seen a huge increase on first-generation students. You've seen a lot of single-parent homes. And what does that mean to these 18 to 21, 22-year-olds that are trying to find that something different?
Yeah.
What would be some kind of words that you would share with more our alum on what would they get out of coming back?
Right. Yeah, no, I know. I love that. So after the pandemic, study after study showed that there were these social deficits from the lack of interaction, right, between human beings for such a long time. And I think the fraternity fills that void in such an important way, such a tangible way, where, it's everything that you don't learn in the classroom you get from this organization. Life skills, leadership skills, opportunities for service and for giving back and altruism, all of those things that you're not getting. And so Sigma Pi's are going to be so prepared to take on life and be successful out of the gate, out of graduation, going forward. And that's one thing that is a true benefit. And so for our alumni, to your question, to be able to support that directly, to make sure that their brothers are going to be as successful as they have been, I think that's just that's what a brotherhood is. That's what a brotherhood should be focused on. Right.
It's interesting, Christian. I've got a couple of advisors. The reason why they're back involved is they've hired some of the guys.
Right.
And then they have fired them a couple weeks later. And then they have come along and said, I am going to stay involved because I do want to hire guys from my chapter, from my school, but I want to make sure I'm helping prepare them to get out onto this workforce.
Right.
And I think that's a part that a lot of times we forget because it's the social aspect. But at the end of the day, guys like us, our alumni, we're looking for something else.
Right.
Business relationships, contacts, votes, whatever it may be for whatever it is. But it is a different world, and I think it is incumbent upon us who have taken an oath to help these young men get to that point.
Yeah, we're the vehicle, right? So it's those formative years in college where you're trying to figure it out, trying to chart your path, even though life can meander and you never always have it figured out. But Sigma Pi can definitely support you in your goals academically and just building that skill set that you're not going to get in the classroom so that you're better prepared to be successful when you leave, only that we don't want you to leave.
Right.
If you're going to leave, you're going to walk out the doors on your campus, but then we want you right back in the fold as time permits and what you can do to help make Sigma Pi the leading Greek men's college fraternity.
And it's interesting too because for our listeners out there, Christian does not get paid to do this. You're a volunteer. You actually give your money to volunteer. Yeah. And I think that's important for a lot of people to know because you said something just a minute ago is where they're at in their life. Mm-hmm. And we do understand young families take a lot of time, new careers, trying to excel in your career, trying to move in your career, whatever it may be. But there's still a part, hey, just come back. There's an alum, Paul Salveson from Delta Beta. His one deal that he does is he shows up for chapter elections and he helps oversee it. It's the only thing he does every year. So if we can get more alum, just show up and do that. Whatever it might be, right? Because you're over here and you're looking at it going, we got 360 people on paper that are volunteers in some capacity. But like you said, you'd like to see that go up a couple hundred more. And I think that's because there's opportunities there. So what are some opportunities, both local and national, if some of our alumni wanted to get involved? What would that look like?
Yeah, so I would say, depending on the time that you have to invest in the organization, you could serve as a chapter advisor, which is the key or sort of primary advisor for an undergraduate chapter. You could serve as a province archon, which is a regional advisor that may have a cluster of chapters, and we have 10 provinces, so you can get involved as a province archon. And then under the province archons, they have now district advisors. In some of the larger provinces, they subdivide it into various districts. So those are direct ways that you can get involved with advising the chapter on their operations and best practices, making good decisions, risk management, university relations, how to do a service project, how to train officers. You're involved with all those things. You could also serve on a committee. And that's really where subject matter expertise matters. So if you're a tech person, you can help out in a technological capacity by working with the staff on the latest and greatest technology for getting our message out there. So if you're a finance person, you can get involved as a financial advisor to a chapter. If you're a sales guy, you might be well positioned to be a recruitment advisor for a chapter to help chapters that are struggling with low membership attract more men to join the organization, because membership is our lifeblood. And some of our chapters really struggle with that. We have other chapters that have over 200 members and that they don't have that problem. So, you name it, there's a place for you to kind of give back and get involved with the organization. And let us know if you have ideas for how you might be able to give back to your organization. We'll try to plug you in the best way we can.
And I think that goes into what we've kind of talked about a little bit before, but I'm going to come back to it is, and if you don't have the time, then please just make a gift.
Right.
Because those gifts will help support the students. They'll help support the other volunteers. And we have a lot of ways, right? We have an educational foundation that gives out scholarships and grants for chapter educational funds. We've got Sigma Pi University, which is all about programming. So there's a lot of ways. You can either be involved on the fraternity side, right?
Yep.
Or you can come and get involved on the philanthropy side of the organization.
Right.
I think we're pretty open. If anybody wants a spot, we'll find you, right?
And you can sponsor events like Engage and be the person who is giving this experience directly. To your earlier point about, as a volunteer, why we give back. It's like, so I went to these events as an undergraduate 2 decades ago, but I also got 2 scholarships from this organization. I got one as an undergraduate and I got a scholarship in law school. So I'm the beneficiary of the people who came before me. And that's why we're giving back, because I got the benefit. Now it's time for me to give the benefit to somebody else. And I think that's why we give back of our time. And again, we talked about, it's also really fun, like get to have dinner together, whenever we take over a city, we go to a ball game, we go to have a golf outing, we take a pilgrimage, whatever it's going to be. There's just so many opportunities to network and have fun and build our bonds of brotherhood, strengthen those bonds throughout the years. But to your point, there's just so many ways to get involved. And we're going to come to cities near you. And so, we'll email you when we're coming, to your city. We'll set up a little geofence, and you'll get that email if we're going to be in Philly or LA or Austin, Texas, wherever the case may be. We want to see you. So, and please reach out to us too. I mean, you could shoot John an email, jfrost@sigmapi.org. I'm Grand Sage at sigmapi.org. Just let us know. You have ideas. We'd be happy to listen to them and to have a conversation about that.
Now, as we're getting close to wrapping up, I do want to ask you a little bit, because there is like I said, 25% of our gifts come from parents. As the Grand Sage, who was elected by the Grand Chapter, what kind of words or imparting knowledge would you share with prospective members and their parents? Like, you're a parent yourself. You have 3 children.
Yep.
So I'm a father. I have 2 children. So we know the importance of it. But we also know that, stereotypes and things say. What is something that you would share with parents if they're kind of wondering, should my son join?
My experience was a lot like yours, where, first generation college students, and I've heard, John, you say many times, and that you hope Josh becomes a Sigma Pi. I hope that Theo and Gavin, my two boys, become Sigma Pi's, because I know what this organization did for me, just like you know what it did for you. And so there are a lot of stigmas out there, but we are doing everything to make sure this is a safe, positive experience. We're looking out for our brothers. They're our brothers. It's an elevated level of friendship that we have, and we have a bond unlike any other. So we're going to be looking out for the best interests of our students. So if you're a parent, just know all the value that is in this organization for your son. And so that's something that again, we want to see future generations have those same opportunities that we did. So.
And it's interesting too. I was talking with some moms not too long ago, and there was a young man on the shuttle with us, and I think the part that really shocks people is, and what a lot of people may not realize, we're all about second and third chances, right? Like, yes, if something bad happens, we have to, unfortunately close a group, or we have to suspend them or whatever. But at the end of the day, what we really want to do is help them grow.
Right.
But part of that growth, we have kids again, right? Like, there's a stumbling.
Right.
Is how do we make sure to continue to nurture these young men who many times are being told they're toxic, and they're not masculine, or it's hyper masculine, whatever it may be. But how do we continue to help these young men realize that, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. Don't beat yourself up, because mental health is a serious issue, especially with men this age. How do you have conversations with the Grand Council to think about that very important piece?
Right.
Is that it's okay to make a mistake, and how do you kind of visualize that when you're having conversations with the board, and keeping in mind, we want great programs, we want them to have fun,
right?
But we also want them to not work out of fear,
right?
Right.
We want them to be human. People make mistakes. Young people, when I was young, made mistakes, and it's about learning and growing, and this organization provides the vehicle to learn and to grow. And that's why we've put emphasis on the work of the Ritual Committee, because our values and how we should be as men, and how we should support one another, be there for one another, how we should treat other people in the world. I mean, we're a very diverse organization. Our diversity is our strength, and so I'm so proud to be a Sigma Pi, to share that ritual and those values with brothers from all walks of life and all backgrounds. And so that is our superpower as an organization. And so we just need to do as good a job as we can to elevate that as something that it's front of mind for our organization. And I know we've been doing a much better job of that as of late, and we're going to continue to do an even better job going forward. But yeah, that is what differentiates us from every other group.
Yeah, and it's fascinating, because I remember sitting on that shuttle, and I was talking about it. And I remember that young man, he's not a Sigma Pi. He's about 25, sharp dressed, till he's heading to work. But I remember him just looking at me going, you mean you guys help men understand that they can make mistakes? Right. Sure.
Right.
Yeah, because we all do. We're both married. I make more mistakes than I realize I make, right? I'm sure you do the same.
We're told every day we make mistakes.
And so I think that's the important piece, and I think that you have a great Grand Council.
We do.
I'm excited, because I've been able to work with probably about the last 7-8 years with some very good Grand Councils, but it's also a thing to where we get to kind of go a different direction now. We've had to clean up some things. We had to work on some governance and some operations, but now we're going to start looking like, where are we going now? What is this next 5-10 years?
We've got a lot of synergy. I'm not sure when this video will air, but in October, the council will be in Nashville for a retreat to really drill down and focus on those higher level initiatives and strategic vision to move the organization forward. There's so much opportunity. I think, you would ask, like, why are we doing this? The opportunity is so great, to continue to, and it's exciting. It's fun to be a part of, planning for our future and kind of building the future and setting a very, clear, sort of putting a clear idea of where we can be as an organization, how we can take an organization of over 100,000 people and have an impact in our country, in society, in our local communities, on our college campuses. It's endless. I mean, the work is endless, and there will always be the next generation, but it's our job to make sure that they have that great experience so that they're sitting in our chairs, in 10, 15, 20 years.
Well, and that's the thing, is we worked together about 20 years ago now.
Yeah, we did.
And
here we are. Kind of my boss, yeah.
And here
we're
we
working
are
together,
today, right? And it's fascinating too. Is the progression and where we want to go. And I think, like you said, we're going to have some great conversations in October. For our members, we're really going to be looking 5, 10 years down the road, possibly 25 if we can. COVID taught us a lot, but we came out of it.
Right.
Where Sigma Pi is still managed to continue 127 plus years later. We're in a great position because we have over $290,000 worth of pledge agreements already signed by donors who want to help with these programs. I know the Grand Council is looking at how does it help with the campaign experience. Our boards are helping. I think we're going to see it a lot with our students. We're seeing more students start to give back as well. So it's just an exciting point all around. And as we get ready to wrap up, and I'd like to ask you to impart some words of wisdom from a leadership standpoint to a prospective new member and or a current member that is trying to decide what more can I do in the fraternity. And I know you have a quote you like to talk about with that.
Which one? I have a lot of quotes. Which one?
Ask not what.
Oh, right. Yeah, this is my new mantra, my new quote. So, a lot of people, we talk a lot about, what we've gotten out of the fraternity. And so I think a lot of people think about what the fraternity is going to do for us. And so I like to parrot the JFK quote and ask not what Sigma Pi can do for you, but what you can do for Sigma Pi. So figure out what your passion is, whatever area the fraternity is, and usually let your passion drive you in that direction. And so you'll be doing something that you love, and then it never feels like work, right? It just feels like something that you enjoy to do. And so I think this has been our life's passion project for brothers like you and me, and so many out there that give of their time and give of their resources to push the organization forward. But I would just say, find that pocket of Sigma Pi that is going to make you happiest, and have you coming back to continue giving back to Sigma Pi to make it the greatest fraternity in the world.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Amen. These young guys, that's the thing, is we're watching them. 20 years from now, they'll be sitting in our seats. And to me, that is a great responsibility to make sure that we're preparing people to sit in these seats, because it's not easy.
Yep.
It's tough in a whole, and I think that's probably the best part about the fraternity. The men's health issue, and I know I talk about it a lot because we've seen the impact. But it also helps guys our age.
Yeah.
It also helps guys 60 or 70. Men need other men to walk through life with. We join with a partner to start a family. Right. But we still got to have those bonds.
Yeah, right. Some people don't have mentors outside of this organization. So we have that for you. Yep. So I would take every opportunity. If you're an undergraduate member, reach out. That's why we have a team to support you. That's why we have professional staff to impart these lessons and these opportunities. So just where to find us, sigmapi.org. It starts there, and each and every one of us is happy to support your goals in the organization. So.
And I'd say too, as we get ready to close out, first off, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thank you to Jess and your family for letting you be here. Please
make sure. This too.
Yeah. Because it is a lot. For me, I get paid.
Thank you to Jill too, because John's on the road a lot. For yes, he's paid, and I'm not paid, but he's on the road a lot with young kids. It's very demanding. So thank you for all that, and thank your family and Jill and kids for letting you do what you do too.
Well, they know it's a passion, right? So thank you for joining us. So as we get ready to wrap up, I do want to thank everybody again for being here with us. Thank you, Christian, for taking the time to come and join us. If you want to learn how to be involved from a volunteer standpoint, you can just go to our website, sigmapi.org. We'd also ask you to really come and check out give.sigmapi.org/impact. So thank you again, everybody, for your time. Thank you again, Christian. And as always, I believe.
I believe.
Oh, good timing.
Nice.